Um, but a lot of people, or basically the motivation behind this is people ask me all the time, like, what can they do to get better, among other things. Because a lot of people just have literally no idea what to do or like how they get better. For most people, it's just grind out tech skill and then hope that that gets you better, or just play tons and tons of games. Um, Not that those aren't valid approaches, but you'll always pretty much hit a ceiling. And once you hit that ceiling, you can't keep doing what you're doing because it eventually just doesn't work. Okay, so doing this because people ask me about this all the time, and also because uh, it's very difficult as a top level player uh, to give advice to a low level player. Um, just because as a top level player, there are a ton of things that I've already internalized that are difficult to express in an easily digestible form. Um, so this is my attempt at doing that, and also because when I analyze people's sets, there are a lot of people that actually become offended uh, when I tell them that what they're doing is bad or what they're doing is dumb. And it's like, yeah, I could use like kid gloves, right? And explain everything about the situation, but like there's definitely a point where it's impossible for me to explain something to somebody because they don't have the prerequisite knowledge or understanding of the concepts necessary to truly understand what I'm saying. And if they don't understand it, then they can't implement it. Um, Not to say that that's true for all low level players, but as a general rule, the reason why they're low level is because of a lack of knowledge or lack of understanding. Um, so I'm analyzing my own set because I can roast myself and nobody's gonna be mad. Uh, 'Cause I'm not gonna offend myself from 2009. Um, so yeah. So let's start with this. A low level player, uh, by definition, is somebody that does poorly in tournament. There's no other definition that counts or matters. It doesn't matter if their tech skill is horrible. It doesn't matter if there's certain things they do or don't do. Whether you're a low level player or not is purely results based. And where that category lies is pretty much where you set it. So it changes depending on region. But for Michigan, I would say that low level players are the ones that are not able to make it out of pools. Um, that's because Michigan's bar is not that high in comparison to some of the other regions. I think we're significantly better than some of the other regions, but if you cannot consistently make it out of pools, I define you as a low level player. Um, and that's literally the only metric that matters is your results. This changes, of course, based off of region. Like if you're from SoCal, you're at like a 100-man local and you don't make it out of pools. Sometimes that's just something that happens if it's a 32-man bracket because the SoCal talent rolls so deep. Same with NorCal. But there are also players where if you're from a really weak region and you consistently make it out of pools, you might still be a low level player because your region is just weak and your talent pool is low. So as I'm going through this set, I've written down a couple things that I think really are indicative of a low level mindset or a low understanding of the game. The first thing that pretty much everybody goes through is that when you're new to the game, completely new, like let's say you just picked up the game a week ago, or like you're remembering back to like your casual days, the number one thing that you do is you always try to kill the other person, right? Because that's super obvious. It's a fighting game. You want to go there and you want to do your biggest possible move, and you want to kill them as early as possible because that just makes sense. Another thing that the second part is if you're low level, you very, very rarely think about what happens past the initial step, especially if you're wrong. So this is a habit that a lot of people stop doing. For example, Marth's forward smash. Low level Marth players will run around and they'll spam forward smash because it's a big move. There's a lot of range. Kills pretty early if you tip her. But the reason that they do this is because they don't think about what happens if the other person just shields. There's tons and tons of counterplay to this, but their thought processes don't go past the initial step of forward smash is really big and really strong, so let's use it. The next is a failure to recognize that your opponent actually exists and that they make decisions as well. This isn't something that is only prevalent in lower level. This is also very, very prevalent in mid-level. Especially for characters where tech skill can carry you very, very far. So characters like Falco, obviously, like the mid-level Falco Master, Peach to an extent, well, all pretty much like Floatius to an extent, once they grind out the punish game, is you can reach a certain point in melee without ever having to interact mentally with the person that you're playing against. And that's just how the game is. Just if your character has some strong options and you use those in some sort of pattern, you can just win sometimes. But I would say at lower level, this is more prevalent, where you, like, if you replace the person you're fighting against with a sandbag, you make the exact same decisions. There's actually a really cool parallel to Street Fighter, where the Street Fighter arcade game has a bonus stage where you just punch a car. And if you watch if you ever have been to an arcade and you watch low-level Street Fighter players, them fighting the not moving car looks almost exactly the same as them fighting another person. And that's both really cool and really funny. And a little bit sad, but that's just the way it is. Next would be the inability to recognize the other characters' options, which rolls into like the not interacting with the other player. Is you just don't know what the other character is capable of. This is more like matchup knowledge stuff. Like if you don't know that Puff has 5 double jumps, that's a pretty big deal. If you don't know that Pikachu can like up B twice, is a really big deal. So it's stuff like that. Melee's character depth is not too large compared to games like League of Legends, where you have to learn like 200 characters' moves and like what like their effects, their cooldowns, and stuff like that. It's not as bad as that, but there's still a lot of unique character features that people just ignore at low level. And then the last one is that low level players generally have no idea what works and what does not work. Like really works and what really does not work. Like forward throw forward smash is sick nasty at mid level in like Spacey Dittos and like Marth versus certain characters, because people just hold in. And I'm sure people don't really understand that it's truly a 50-50 at this level. And there are points where you're not sure if something works because they messed up, if it didn't work because you messed up, or like is this something that's real or not. And I'm going to go through these things as I watch this set, because this is super indicative of a new Samus player. What I'm about to show. I watched this a little bit yesterday, but haven't spent too much time like actually thinking what I'm gonna say. So this is gonna be pretty freeform. So this is my first. I think this is my first recorded tournament set ever. This was at Lolly's 1 in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I was a freshman in college. Yeah, I'll make it bigger. Juggle Guy was in my materials, or my my aerospace engineering structures class, and he handed me a flyer, told me to go to this tournament. This was in the basement of one of our campus halls. So yeah, I had been to a couple of tournaments before this, but they were really small, like super local tournaments. And I think this might have been the first tournament where I didn't make it out of pools. Because 2 people made it out of pools, and I think I had Vidjo. I lost to Vidjo and Wonder. Alright, so here we go. Also, welcome to 480p. So, if you see this, almost nothing that I do has any relation with what Wonder is trying to do. I do moves, and then I land, and then I immediately do another move, even though there's pretty much no chance of this hitting. The things that I'm trying to talk about or explain will be relevant to pretty much everybody. I'm going to try to explain this in a way that's easy for new players to understand, but I realize that I've been part of the Smash community for so long that I assume a lot of things, or I assume a lot of understandings. But I'm gonna try my best. But basically, if you watch this with the mindset of 2 people mindlessly throwing moves at each other, without accounting for any risk reward, like not counting like what if I miss, like what can I get punished by, this is pretty much what you're going to see. And so this is me just doing moves. Every time I get hit, I mash the Y button, try to jump as quickly as possible. Because that's how you get furthest away from your opponent. Wonder is never going to read a single one of my double jumps, because we haven't yet reached that point in our player careers, I suppose. So yeah, this is just do moves, spam forward smash. This is actually great, because it's been a long time since I've done this, but basically mindless moves. Wave dash back, big move. At this point, I had basically been taught the basics of the basics, which is Samus's wave dash back smashes are super broken. Was one thing that I was told pretty much constantly. Samus's crouch cancel down smash is broken. Samus's spot dodge into smash attacks are also broken. And so I basically just spammed these things because I didn't really understand why any of it worked. I just really wanted to hit people. So look, you just do moves. Oh yeah, I used to think bombs were sick. I used to think bombs were amazing. So you'll see me do a lot of bombs where I just do it so that there's a move out. Not because there's really any reasoning behind it, but just because. Here, just watch these bombs, dude. They're sick nasty. Also, pretty much at this point, I think spacing is pretty much irrelevant. For a lot of lower level players, you just want to do your moves as quickly as possible. in their direction so that you can get hits. See, some sick edge guarding by Wonder. Very, very high. There's a 0% chance of any of this hitting me. Spot dodge, yep, spot dodge move. Roll from the ledge, yep. Spam moves. Use arrow keys. I want to pause though. To go frame by frame. I don't want to watch this frame by frame. Basically, I'm just pointing out examples of what low-level play means. And this is what it means, pretty much. Is you do moves over and over and over again with no regard for what the other person is doing. So I'm bombing. Look at that. That was so sick. Holy crap. I'm so good at this game. Holy shit. Oh my god. I want to watch this again. This is great. I have no idea why I did this. I don't know what I thought was gonna happen. And then I tried to bomb out of hit stun. That was sick. Yep, crouch cancel down smash. He misses his yeah, spamming up till next to the ledge was also key. I didn't know I spammed F smash this much when I started. It's actually pretty sick. So yeah, if you pay attention, you can see me pretty much refresh the same exact strategy over and over again. This was before I knew how to sweet spot grapple, I think. Yeah. I was bad at sweet spotting for an embarrassingly long time. So yeah, there's pretty much no player interaction here. That I'm pretty sure that wall jump was on accident. I didn't know how. I didn't actually know how to do that yet. I love this interaction. Classic. So yeah, that's what it is, right? This is when you literally have no idea what works and what doesn't, and it's like very pure melee, right? It's just two people just trying to hit each other with absolutely no regard for their own safety, and no idea what works and doesn't. Like some other habits that you can pick up, I will come down with a move 100% of the time. Because hitting somebody is better than not hitting them, clearly. So sick. Oh wait, this is my favorite part. Okay, so you see this super big brain jump over Mario's up B to grab ledge. I actually still remember this The reason I did that was because I was not yet consistent at wave dashing to ledge. So instead of wave dashing to ledge, I decided that I was going to short hop and grab ledge, but I missed the short hop input too. So I got full hop. Fucking genius. So yeah, that's low level Samus play at its absolute finest. This was 2009. This was pretty much when I started playing. Well, a little bit after. I think I started in like June or July, probably. But yeah, it's a lot of like. It's pretty much just that, right? Is you do big moves because you want to hit them, and then you don't think about anything else. And if you want to watch this with the mindset of trying to read what decisions I will make, you can probably guess correctly like 60% of the time exactly what I'll do in pretty much every single situation. Just because like you always do the most obvious thing that will try to get you a hit, or the most obvious thing that will dodge a hit. And for this one, it's every single time I thought I was going to hit, I spot dodge. Every single time I thought I could hit him, I threw out a big move. Every time I came down in the air, I nared or down aired. Every single time I got hit, I double jumped. And so that's just part of what it means to improve as a player, is you graduate from doing this to doing mix-ups. That's what the game is like fundamentally. As you move forward, is you're creating mix-ups where if you think you're going to get hit, should you spot dodge, should you shield, should you counter hit, and so on and so forth for every single situation. And you learn a lot of that intuitively the more you play, assuming you're not just getting bodied every single time. And as you learn it intuitively, you start doing these mix-ups even though you don't really understand what you're doing. And you don't actually have to, in terms of like frame data, in terms of like true option coverage and like the flowcharts for what beats what. You eventually just start doing bad things if you want to keep winning. But I do think that if you understand what's going on, it can accelerate your improvement. This is obviously not true for everybody. Some people, even if you tell them word for word exactly what's going on, unless they experience it like 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, they'll never be able to internalize this information and implement it. And that's just, it is what it is. Improvement is a very individual journey. People go through it by themselves. There's no right way to improve. It pretty much just depends on who you are, and like the thing that takes you from level 1 to level 2 might not necessarily take you from level 2 to level 3. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Low-level players have the benefit of not knowing anything, which means that pretty much every single thing can be improved upon, and pretty easily. A lot of people nowadays gravitate towards tech skill because it's something that you can grind. It's something with very visible and very quick results. The difference between being able to like L cancel and not L cancel is like a 0 and a 1. You either can or you cannot. You can do it 50% of the time, you can do it 0% of the time, 70% of the time, so on and so forth. So it's something that people enjoy. It's something that people gravitate towards. Grinding tech skill when you're new is actually pretty fun because suddenly you're able to do these things. But is that a guarantee that your tournament results will improve? No. It's not always the case, especially for some characters, where you just have to learn how to, like, some characters are benefited more by tech skill than others, clearly. And so there's usually two vastly different paths towards improvement, between like floaties and spacies. Even though I think that at the end of the journey it's pretty similar. Obviously, like, it's not completely true. Like, let's like say there are maybe like 6 things you have to be good at to be like the best in the world. I think HBox is like the best in the world at like 4 of those things and really bad at the 2 other things, just because his character doesn't really need them. But at the 4 things, he's the best in the world by like a lot. And so that's why you hear some people say that like Puff isn't Puff isn't playing melee, like Puff takes less skill. And I mean, you can say those things, but Puff is difficult to play because there are, like, for Puff to get better, there are very specific things that she has to improve on. Alright, so let's go to the next part of this where I'll talk about why I think some people get stuck at mid-level or at low level. One of the things that is really common in like brand new players and also common in mid-level players is that they absolutely refuse to acknowledge some things that happen either in the game or say they basically refuse to acknowledge some things that happen in the game, which is that they get outplayed. There's a lot of a lot of low level players will absolutely refuse to admit that they got outplayed by somebody else. There's a lot of defaulting to, oh, I only lost because of this, I only lost because of that. Like, oh, dang it, I messed up my tech skill here, and so that's why I lost. But, like, let's say that in a set, you play out, like, 200 interactions. If you tunnel vision on why you lost one interaction, even if you fix that, you're still going to lose, most likely. I have had so many conversations with players where they argue with me about whether I'm right or wrong. And like, yeah, this is the whole like appeal to authority thing or whatever fallacy it is. But I count myself as being pretty knowledgeable, and I think I usually explain things decently well. And I've actually personally tested a lot of the things that I talk about. But I've talked to people that go like 1 and 2 in pools, or like go 1 and 2 in bracket or 0 and 2 in bracket, and they say I'm wrong. And it's like sure, but not really sure how to say this. Basically people that haven't done the testing will tell me that I'm wrong, and then I'll tell them what I've discovered, and they'll say, oh, they'll dismiss it, right? And the reason that they're doing this is because I guess it is partially an ego thing, but it's also just like being stuck like if you it's like being stuck in one of your beliefs. And when you have that challenge, you basically refuse it. Like, for example, there's a player who basically said that Marth is like number 7 or like number 6. Basically, that Marth is terrible and cannot beat, and is like loses like 70-30 to Sheik, and refused all evidence to the contrary. And would say that like Marth loses to Fox and Marth loses to Peach, and they gave out a ton of rationale for why that is. Right. Like Marth can't kill Peach, Marth can't kill Sheik. Marth can't like grab Fox. Just tons and tons and tons of things. And if presented evidence with the contrary, they'd say like, oh well, whatever. And so that's just one example. Some Michigan people in the chat would know who this is. But that's not my first interaction with somebody that's basically refused to like listen to reason because they're so stuck in what they believe is true. So this is also true for mid-level players, but if you're ever at a point where you refuse to keep learning, you refuse to accept that maybe you were wrong, that's usually a really, really, really big problem. So yeah, let me and I think that's a pretty big obstacle towards anybody trying to improve at anything. And like, I won't say I haven't done this before, because there was a point where, I mean, even still, I'm very, very stubborn. And I've definitely done my share of propagating things that are untrue. But I do my best to learn everything that I can about the game, and about my character. And I think that's helped me a lot with like understanding. And that's because if you're from a region where you don't get very much practice in certain characters, and I guess I'll talk about this later, but you need some way to supplement your lack of actual matchup experience. And you can supplement that by understanding. Oh yeah. So I think that's it. That's pretty much what I wanted to say. I'll probably wrap this up and yeah, I'm not really sure where I want to go with this whole thing. I'm just trying to make this a resource where I can refer people to if they ask me like how to get better at the game. I'll do mid-level stuff later, but I'm gonna try to walk through videos and show improvement. Oh, one thing I can show you guys is my only recorded tournament set with Puff. So basically what happens is I win game 1, and Wonder goes Marth. Or no, Wonder counterpicks me to FD, I think? Or no, he counterpicks me to he counterpicks me to Battlefield. And so like I said before, this was before I knew how to grapple to ledge in Sweet Spot. This was before I knew how to up B Sweet Spot. So I switched to Puff. And then he switched to Marth. If I had won this game, I might have become a Puff main. Just FYI, that was something that could have happened. As I could have been a Puff main, but I I want everybody in the chat to keep in mind what I was talking about before for low level melee. Is that you always try to hit them, and you do like the level 1 option every single time. Also, I don't know if I could L cancel consistently at the time. Dude, my pub is so sick. And you can also watch what Wonder's doing. Would I say that 2009 Wonder is also a low level player? Yeah, I think so. A lower level player. I think this was the only tournament where I lost to him. The sickest edge guard. This is art? No, this is beautiful. I think everybody should be really happy that Wonder beat me, because could have been a Puff main. No, yeah. I also have no idea how many double jumps I have. So I'm pretty sure I just ran out of jumps there and got forward smash. Oh yeah, rollout used to be one of my favorite moves. I'm so sick. Yeah, classic, messed up Rest and somehow got uppy. But Rest wouldn't have hit either. I actually brought this back. I didn't. Okay. And then grab F throw, wave dash forward smash. This melee's so pure, right? It's so honest. It's just two dudes trying to hit each other and having no idea how to do it. No, yeah, I got one stock and decided I'm not going to be a Puff man. So yeah, this close to being a Puff man. This close. But didn't happen. Fortunately or unfortunately for everybody. I'll save this for next time. Probably. I'm gonna try to go over lower level stuff. Maybe for another video. And then I'll move on to like the low end of mid-level. But I'm basically just going to walk through how I felt about my improvement as a player and how I feel other people can mimic that as well. Do I hate lower level players? I do not hate lower level players. I'm not a fan of... Yeah, I'm basically not a fan of people who think they know everything when everything points to the contrary. There's a Twitch VOD of me talking to somebody where they try to tell me that they have done literally everything at their disposal to try to improve at the game. And very clearly, this person was not. And very clearly, there were a lot of things that they could have been doing. They just weren't. But like I understand the mindset. I wouldn't say I hate them. It's more like I don't want to spend my time trying to explain to somebody why they're incorrect. I would rather just work on my own stuff. Like if somebody wants to improve, I usually let them come to me with questions and stuff, and I'll answer it. But I'm not going to go out of my way to fix your entire mentality about improvement and what you're doing when I can just work on my own stuff, or like help people that truly want the help, that can use my help. Don't really have anything. I don't have anything against them because I understand. Just I can use my time better. So. Alright, I'll leave you guys with my first set played against Kalindi ever. Kalindi registered Kalindi told Juggle Guy his name. And Juggle Guy entered it in incorrectly. So this is me versus Kalindi, the first set we've ever played back in 2009. I think Kalindi didn't go to tournaments for like 2 years after this. But this is game 1 of the first set we ever played. I think even back then, Kalindi was actually pretty technical, all things considered. Kalindi was a Fox and Falco main, and then he switched to only Falco, and then he's only Fox now. This is some prime melee. Oh, sorry. What's up, Frank? Thanks for the 7 months and the $10 sub. Quack pack. You heard someone say Kalindi is traumatized because he got gooned on by Michigan floaty players his whole life? I mean, maybe. But like, I could show you some of the messages that Kalindi has sent to me, and you guys can decide who is gooning who. Yeah, so this set is like really showcases how at low level there are other paths to getting better other than just grinding out tech skill. Because at this point, I have literally no tech skill other than being able to wave dash. I can't sweet spot up B, I can't sweet spot grapple, I can't do any of that. And Kalindi can do a lot of stuff at this point. Look at those bombs. How much damage is this from bombs? Oh my god, 12%. Oh my god. 18% from bombs, let's go. I'm a genius. This is what I am. Oh yeah, I couldn't consistently up you out of shield yet either. The only thing I could do consistently was wave dash. So sick. I might as well show you guys game 2. So game 2, Kalini counterpicks me to Yoshi's Yoshi's with Falco. So the only matchup that I ever played against, the only matchup I ever played was Falco. Literally the only matchup I played. I didn't play anything else. So when he switched to Falco, I was just like, oh, this is free. So good, oh my god. The totally on purpose, not up tilt up smash. Yeah, all I did was play Moose, who's a Falco player. That was actually so good. What the heck? That was actually terrible. He could have just gone to ledge, but feels good. I miss getting those combos where nobody would go to ledge. You could just throw moves. My edge guarding is too sick. In 2009. Wait, did I spot dodge this get up attack? Holy crap. I've been doing that since 2009? Wow. The no combo after down smash. Solid. The hard read standing grab. The get up down smash. Oh, so sick. So yeah, there's some people saying that my edge guarding was really good back then too. Edge guarding has always been my favorite part of the game. It's why I'm not a big fan of, or it's why I don't play the other Smash games, is because edge guarding is non-existent in them. But yeah, edge guarding and melee is like my favorite thing to do. So that was one of the first things that I developed. So as you can see, I put a lot of my time early on at getting good at edge guarding because all I did was play against Felgo. Kalindi put a lot of his time into learning tech skill. And I happened to, eke it out against his Fox, and then I beat him and then I destroyed his Falco because I had a ton of matchup experience that he didn't have. Okay, so that's pretty much all I'm gonna go through today. I'll see if I can get a part 2 up maybe later. Yeah, Mewtwo was really big for me. A lot of my edge guarding and a lot of my platform setups I actually got from watching his Marth and trying to emulate it with Samus. But yeah, I think I'll do another video about low level and then move on to mid level because I think I was mid level for a decently long time, and then we'll go from there. So, all right, I'm done for today. Peace, people. I might actually be playing Lara Croft with Jenny later. But yeah, done with this for now. See ya.